when you're ready.
Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Gord Downie and his death. And the reason that I decided to pick this topic was because we are losing quite a few of our prominent singers in the world, but this one was kind of the first Canadian singer that really hit me hard personally, because I've always been a really big Tragically Hip fan, but he's also been a huge part of Canadian culture and Canadian history. He was born in Ontario, Canada, and it's a small town kind of on the north shore lakes of Lake Ontario, and he formed the Tragically Hip in 1984. He also released 6 solo albums, and he also just released, or he's planning on releasing another one, even though he's passed away. There has been some songs that they're going to release now. I think they're just as good as the other ones, but that's besides the point. He took a great interest not only in Canadian history and in Canadian ethics within his music, he also took great interest in Canadian environment and Canadian culture. It wasn't just about the prison in Manitoba he wanted to sing about. It was about Canada, period. So Gord was also a member of the Lake Ontario Waterkeepers, which is a community of people protecting Lake Ontario because he obviously grew up in and around the area. What sparked his activism, or one of the larger events that sparked his activism, was a cement company called Lafarge, which I'm sure we've all seen a Lafarge truck somewhere at some point. And essentially they bought a building close to his hometown, and they wanted to burn tires, non-recyclable plastics, and bone meal pellets for fuel, which essentially was going to affect the water runoff and leak into Lake Ontario, which was close to where he lived, as I said. One of the most interesting parts about reading about Gord Downie, who is this crazy celebrity guy getting involved with the Waterkeepers and getting involved in this, was that almost every article I read about this, or every personal account, or I watched a couple interviews about how he did this, everyone said that he never used his celebrity status as an excuse, and they were impressed that he became an expert almost overnight because of his passion. So in the end, Lafarge lost the hearing, and they had to scrap their plan to burn all those harmful toxins and leak into our water, which is great, but that really started something within him, I think. I think that started moving something, and he started looking for other things to invest in and look for in Canada itself. So we're going to fast forward quite a few years after that, and he started a project called The Secret Path. And it started out actually as 10 poems and evolved into this foundation for First Nations ethics, I believe. Yes, and it blossomed into a full-fledged foundation, and I think it's through the University of Manitoba, I believe, that all of the donations that are going towards the Secret Path Foundation goes through the University of Manitoba, and they deliver it to the necessary foundations for First Nations ethics. But what sparked all of this was that his brother gave him an issue of the Maclean's magazine and was like, hey, you should look at this. This is crazy. And this was back in February. Well, the article itself was written in February 1st, 1967, but the article was called The Lonely Death of Charlie Wenjack. And it was a story of a boy who he was taken from his family and put on a reserve, and he wanted to go home and visit his family because one of his other people that he was staying with in the residential home, he liked to run away. So he thought that Charlie Wenjack thought he could do the same. They changed his name from Channy to Charlie, so I'm going to address him as Channy now because that is his name. So he attempted to run away and go visit his family, which was over 400 miles away, and it was approximated that he walked over 36 hours before his collapse, and he died both of starvation and freezing to death. And so you can see why right away that sparked something in him. He was like, wow, this is a crazy issue. Is this happening everywhere? So he started looking, and of course, as we know, it does happen, and it has been happening for a very long time. So it inspired him to start the foundation called The Secret Path, and on the website I found a quote that really resonated with me because I actually went and found the article and read it, and he hits it right on the head when he says that Chani haunts me. His story is Canada's story. This is a story about Canada. We are not the country we think or thought we are. History will be rewritten. We will be accountable. We weren't taught it. It was hardly ever mentioned. This is not an Aboriginal problem. This is a Canadian problem. And I have to say that I agree wholeheartedly with this. This is a Canadian problem. The Secret Path was also turned into his 5th studio album. CBC turned it into an animated film, and it was also a graphic novel. So you can see how someone with such prominence can take one article, one Maclean's article from February 1st, 1967, and transform it into a movement, which lasted for a very long time. The website's still up and you can still donate if you'd like. So all proceeds from the album and the book are being donated to the University of Manitoba's National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation Project, which is a first step, is reconciliation. So to end it off, God, Gord Downie was such an amazing person. He wasn't just a Canadian to me. His love for people and for his country was something that you couldn't just ignore. And when he did pass away, my reaction was quite intense. I responded in a way that I didn't expect, and I think the rest of the world responded in a way we didn't expect as well. So not only did we lose an amazing, fantastic artist that built something for us as a nation, he was just a really great guy.